You've seen it before, right? That faint little brownish mark that just kind of appears on the ceiling one day. It's so easy to ignore, but that stain has a story to tell. So today, we're going to decode that story and figure out what that stain is really trying to tell you. I mean, this is the first reaction for pretty much everyone, isn't it? You spot it, you squint, maybe you tilt your head, and then you just tell yourself, it's probably nothing. It's not dripping, it doesn't look that serious, so we move on. But that's where the trouble really starts. But here's the thing, that mark isn't just paint deep. It's a signal. It's one of the earliest warnings you will ever get that water is sneaking into places it has absolutely no business being. All right, so let's peel back the layers here. Because that little stain you see, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's happening underneath? Well, that's a whole different story. Okay, so first things first, let's redefine what we're even looking at. A ceiling stain isn't just, a stain. It's proof. It is physical evidence that moisture has already soaked into your ceiling. The problem isn't on the surface. The surface is just showing you where the problem is. And you'd be surprised where this water comes from. We're not talking about some massive, dramatic pipe burst. Oh no, it's usually something super sneaky, like a tiny little gap in the caulking around your shower, or a toilet seal that's just a little bit loose on the floor above. Maybe a slow, tiny plumbing drip inside a wall that you would never, ever see. Or if you're in a condo, a leak from your upstairs neighbor. And this is what makes it so tough to figure out. See, water is tricky. It doesn't just drip straight down. It loves to travel. It'll run along pipes, it'll follow ceiling joists, it'll find the path of least resistance. So that stain you see in the living room, the source could actually be feet away, maybe back in the bathroom. The stain is just a clue. It's not the X marks the spot. Okay, so how does a little bit of moisture turn into a huge, expensive problem? Well, it all comes down to what you could call the sponge effect. This right here, this is the absolute core of the problem. Your ceiling, it's probably made of drywall, and drywall basically acts like a giant sponge. It doesn't push water away, it just sucks it right up. And once that moisture is in there, it is not just going to dry out on its own. And once it starts soaking it up, it kicks off this whole downward spiral. First, the moisture shows up from whatever sneaky source it came from. Then the drywall sponge absorbs it. As it's holding all that water, the material itself starts to get soft, it gets weak, and then the damage just starts spreading outwards, silently, where you can't see it. And this is where things get really serious. The water doesn't just stay in the drywall. Nope, it spreads. It soaks into the insulation, it seeps into the wood framing of your house, and, this is the scary part, it can even reach your electrical wiring. Now you're talking about a much, much bigger hazard. And some really common household conditions can pour gasoline on the fire here. Think about it. High humidity from a long, steamy shower, poor ventilation that just traps all that moist air, or even condensation that forms in the winter. All of these things can feed the problem and make it get worse way faster. So this leads to a really important point, the cost of waiting. Honestly, deciding to wait and see is probably the most expensive mistake you can make with this. You have to get this straight. A drip is not an early warning sign. If you see a drip, it means the drywall sponge is completely full. It has failed. It literally cannot hold one more drop of water. You're not seeing the beginning of a problem. You are seeing the absolute end result of a problem that's been going on for a long, long time. And look at the difference in how you have to deal with it. If you act when you first see that stain, you're probably looking at a simple repair, a small patch. But if you wait for that drip, oh man, now you could be talking about major demolition, ripping out and replacing insulation, and maybe even professional mold treatment. It's a whole different ballgame. And the difference isn't just the amount of work, it's the cost, plain and simple. Understanding what that stain means and just dealing with it early can literally save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem. It's pretty clear it's serious. So let's shift gears and talk about the solution. How do you actually fix this and get back in control? This is probably the most important thing to understand about a proper fix. A true professional, their first job isn't to just slap some paint over the stain. No, their first, most critical job is to become a detective. They have to find out exactly where that water is coming from. And there's a real process to it. It's very methodical.
Step 1, find the real source. Step 2, fix the cause. Stop the water. Whether that's plumbing or caulking or a roof issue, you stop it. Only then, step 3, do you open up the ceiling, dry everything out completely, and repair the damage. And then the final step, 4, is to restore the ceiling so it looks like nothing was ever wrong.
And, a trained eye sees things you or I would totally miss. They're not just staring at the stain. They're feeling the area around it for soft spots. They're looking for tiny changes in color that might hint at mold. They can even smell when drywall is damp. They might even notice that the paint is a little too thick in one spot, which could be a sign that someone tried to cover up this same problem before. The best repair is the one you never have to do in the first place, right? So let's wrap up by talking about how you can actually get ahead of this stuff. And honestly, it's not that complicated. We're talking about simple stuff, like every so often, make sure the caulking in your shower and tub is still good. Keep your bathroom exhaust fans clean so they can actually do their job and pull moisture out of the air. And, once in a while, just take a quick look under your sinks to check for drips. Simple checks can catch a problem before it ever becomes a stain. When you really boil it down, a little bit of attention every few months is the best money-saving strategy you can have. It's not about being a home repair expert, it's just about being aware. This really just sums it all up, doesn't it? That little stain, it might look like nothing today, but it is a massive signpost. It's basically your house trying to tell you, hey, there's water over here where it shouldn't be, and it needs you to listen before a small issue turns into a huge mess. So, the next time you see one of those little innocent-looking marks on a ceiling, whether it's in your own home or a friend's place, don't just brush it off. Pause for a second, take a closer look, and ask yourself, what is that small stain really trying to tell me?